When I was 16, I left home with nowhere to go. Nowhere. No money, no plan, nobody to come get me. I had made a decision that I was going to trust God and just take that right next step. I have always just taken the right next step. Certainly didn't feel brave at 16. I just knew I had to move my feet. And to be honest, I've been doing that my whole life, which is how I learned the thing I want to tell you about today. Faith is not something you have. It's not a noun, folks. Faith is something you do. It's always a verb. It's not a feeling that you sit around waiting for. It's a step that you take before you see the ground underneath yourself. And I've had to take that step so often, not really knowing how it's going to work out for me, just that I trust that it will. So let me share something with you, and I'm going to go through these fast. I was trying to write down a list of all the different times in my life that I've just taken the right next step. And there was a lot of them, so I could have been reading the list for a while, so I just picked out a handful. And honestly, they all deserve their own video, and maybe someday I'll do that, but not today. So first was when I moved out at 16, right? I was homeless, and I just trusted that I would always have some type of roof over my head. When I applied to college, first one in my family to finish high school, never mind apply to college. I had no idea on God's green earth how I was going to pay for it. None. But I trusted God. I filled out the form and it worked. I graduated from college. And then when I got my first real, I'll say corporate job, I was a product manager. That's how I started. No, I didn't even know what a product manager was, right? I had no idea what the job entailed. I'm not even sure I should have been applying for that role. Completely outside of anything I ever knew. But I trusted God. I walked through the door, I had the interview, and I got the job. And the rest is history, 30 years later, right? And then this was a big one. When I was 8 weeks pregnant, and the doctors told me I was miscarrying my son. And I remember we went to the emergency room. They said, you're having a miscarriage. Let us facilitate that miscarriage so that I didn't have to pass naturally. And I said no. I didn't believe that. For whatever reason, I did not believe that. I went home, and today my son is 31 years old. I had faith. I trusted. And then later in life, and I've shared this, when I had gone through 5 miscarriages over a 2-year span, one after another. I didn't understand, but I trusted God. And what did he end up doing? He brought my firstborn daughter home. The one I had given up 27 years prior. I was going to say at 16, but it was 27 years prior that I had put her up for adoption. When they told me in 2019 I had breast cancer, I trusted God. When I got laid off in 2023, I trusted God. Everything felt like the end in the moment that I got the news or I was going through that season, but I trusted God. And it's the very thing that brought me here to you when I got laid off, to YouTube, to this channel, to you. So I'm not telling you all this to talk about me. I'm telling you this so you understand what I mean when I say faith is a verb. You don't just sit and wait and pray and hope something comes your way. You make it come your way. Not one of those was a feeling. Every single one of those things I just shared was a step I took before I could see the ground underneath my feet. And I'm not saying that it was easy. I'm not saying that I just floated through life because I took the next step. I've had very hard seasons. I cry. I have days that knock me flat. But what do? I let myself cry. And then I pray. And then I just get up and brush myself off and do it all over again. And I take that right next step. Because that's the other thing nobody ever tells you. You can't steer a parked car, right? You can't just pray all day. At some point, You got to get up and you got to put that faith in action. Faith without your feet moving, I think it's just wishful thinking, right? Now, the part that makes all of it possible is I have an amazing relationship with God. I talk to God every single day. I would say every single moment. But I just talk to him like he's right here with me, and I have this conversation all the time. I truly believe he's walking right beside me. He's within me. And I thank him for all the little things. All the little things as well, obviously the big things. Whether it's the right person I needed to see, whether it was the right phone call, everything. Those aren't coincidences to me. That's God. That's in the small stuff all day long. The little God winks I talk about, right? And here's something I think you need to hear. Maybe you've drifted from faith a little bit, or you feel like your prayer's going unanswered. Just know you can talk to him anywhere. No, you don't have to go to a building to pray. You don't have to go to a building for him to hear you. And the last piece of faith as a verb is the hardest one for me. It's the letting go. You can do your part. You take that step, you move your feet, and then you got to let go. The how is really not your job. The how is up to God. That's God's department. Your job is to be the vessel, not necessarily the manager. And I've learned that the second that I let things go, I have learned that things start to flow. You have to get quiet enough to hear the nudges, because God is always talking. We're just usually too loud, too busy to slow down to hear it. I believe your intuition, that gut knowing, is God. God talking straight to your soul. You got to get quiet and you got to feel it. So here's what I'm leaving with today. Where is God asking you to take a step you can't see right now? Maybe you can't see where it's going to end up. Where have you been sitting in a parked car praying for a destination, but you haven't put it into drive yet? You don't have to see the whole road. You don't have to see that whole staircase. You just need to see that right next step. You just have to move one foot in front of the other. One foot. That's faith. That's the verb. If this one stirred something, let me know. Tell me in the comments. And if you're new here, subscribe. I'd love for you to come back. We have 3 more days. 3 more days till I turn 60. Remember how much you matter, folks. I love you. I love you so much. And I'll talk to you tomorrow.